everybody. Welcome back to the Know and Follow podcast. I told you we'd be back in 2 weeks, and here we are. Sat down with Lenea Detore. Lenea Detore is starting a business that she's going to call the Caring Cup. And as you'll hear about, the Caring Cup is a coffee shop designed to employ individuals with autism or other individuals who might need a work environment that supports them and their disability in some way. We talked about it. We talked about why she has a vision for that and about what is going on with that. They are pre-construction, so you can't go to this coffee shop, but you can hear about it. So without further ado, here's the podcast.
All right, Lenea, thank you so much for popping in. You're here because of the Caring Cup.
Yeah.
So talk about what the Caring Cup is. Maybe people think like, well, Lancaster County has a lot of coffee shops, but what makes the Caring Cup special? Where are you guys? Not everything, but most of it. Yeah, go. So you go.
Okay. Yeah. So the Caring Cup is a nonprofit coffee shop. So that's the first part that makes it different from the rest. And it's nonprofit because we want to be able to hire adults with both intellectual and physical disabilities. So I know that there's a lot of other coffee shops like this one, such as like Biddy and Bose, if you've heard of them. They are for-profit. We're doing nonprofit just so that we can hire low-functioning adults as well as high-functioning. So they don't have to be able to make a coffee and turn a profit. That's the whole point of it. If they can learn the social skill of greeting somebody at the door or using their AAC device, the iPad, to learn how to say their name or learn how to write their name on a bag or a cup, some fine motor skills, that kind of thing. So that's the true vision for the Caring Cup, is to be able to provide not only job skills training in the coffee shop, but to be able to provide some life skills training, vocational skills for success, both inside and outside of the coffee shop.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
So we have our 501c3. Someone generously donated us the land to build, and we just had our meeting on Tuesday with Township, and we got officially approved to build on that plot of land. And we have variances for drive-throughs, things like that, to make it convenient for mothers who may have an adult or a child who has an elopement risk or behaviors with transitions, things like that.
That's awesome. So what led to kind of your passion in this area, if you will? What has you, why did you choose this type of work? What were you doing before? What have you?
Yeah. So I always wanted to be in the medical field because I always wanted to help people, but I don't like blood, needles, the whole works. So nursing was out. Yeah, not for me. It's for some people, not for me. So I became an occupational therapist, and it led me to be a pediatric occupational therapist. So I work with children with all types of disabilities. And one mother said to me one time, the bus stops coming and the child is forgotten, meaning that at age 21, the child no longer goes to school, or the adult at that point with disabilities can no longer go to school. A lot of services cease at that point, and the mother just feels like she's left kind of alone, not knowing what services are out there. So we want to be a resource hub too, to tell people what sources are out there for them. But it also got me thinking, at first I was mad at schools. Like, why don't they keep adults if they have a mental disability or of a mental age of, an 11, 12-year-old? But, it can't be their responsibility because you can't have 50-year-olds at school forever,
Sure.
So then I was thinking it's kind of the community's job to fill that. And it really was a God thing, because I thought, I might do this when I retire. But then I went on vacation in Florida and we biked to the city and decided to look up a coffee shop, right? We wanted coffee.
Right.
The only coffee shop with 5 stars was Rise and Nyes in Sarasota. And we went there and I was like, oh, this place is eerie. A coffee shop is lively and there's music. There was no music playing. The lights were dim. I think you get what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And soon you just realize like their mission is all over the wall. And you see the people behind the counter serving you, and you can tell like, oh, someone here must have a sensory aversion to light and noise. So they're accommodating not the community members coming to this coffee shop, but they're accommodating their employees so that they can be successful in this environment.
Very cool.
And I thought that was very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where your passion for it comes from. You're working with them. And, I think it's not just when you talk about the intellectually disabled or people who have physical disabilities, it's not so much just that the school piece comes, but I think when we talk about employment, I think most people, if their child is able to work, or most people, if they are able to work, they kind of want to, you know what I mean? And what you guys are trying to do is create a space where those individuals can learn a skill and work.
Yeah. And not only learn a skill and work, but I know we've talked about this prior, but, a lot of times adults with disabilities need repetitive work.
Sure.
Right? And we end up thinking, oh, nuts and bolts, those types of things, lining up pencils, which is amazing. It gives them fine motor skills. It gives them a purpose. But I wanted a job that is not in a warehouse.
Right.
I wanted a job that is out in the community, interacting with their peers, interacting with, other members of the community and trying to find their passion, right? Maybe coffee isn't their passion, but, so-and-so loves to sing. Can we have a karaoke night for them at the coffee shop, Like finding what gives them purpose and what gives them joy while embracing them in the community.
No, yeah, I love that. And I think there is a piece where it's also the availability of resources. I think people, if you're not living kind of on this side of the fence, so to speak, you tend to think, oh, there's just tons of resources because you hear about it on the news or maybe on a budget line, and you think like, oh, there's millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Yeah. I don't think people realize how challenging navigating the resource landscape is. And so just the idea of creating a space where people can be helped with that can be so helpful. And, did you feel like that was something you've kind of brushed against as you talk to people?
Yeah. So that was not an original goal of the coffee shop. But as I said, now our goal is to be that resource platform for them. Just getting connected and doing all these networking events and getting the word out there about the Caring Cup. I have met with 4 or 5 other employers in the area that employ adults with disabilities, and I never knew they existed.
Right.
I'm learning about all these job training companies that will help you find a job in the community that you like and train you in it.
Right.
And so I'm learning about all these resources through my experiences, but I don't think that adults or parents of adults with disabilities have that time on their hands to go out and talk to 100 people to find these resources. Yeah. So I want to be that resource for them.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, even something as simple as disabled people are eligible for, I always say the wrong one, Medicaid or Medicare. Medicaid is the one they're eligible for, right?
I believe so. I was like, I don't even know.
My wife was listening to this. She's going to say.
Well, I should know this too.
Something like that is people think like, oh, that's great. The forms for that are nightmarish. They take like an afternoon. You know what I mean? And I think it's like, I always think when we're doing Ellie's renewal, which is annual, it becomes biannual in a couple of years, which again is one of those things that gets passed through and people think, oh, good, they're checking for like people who are taking advantage of it or what have you. But the reality becomes, okay, now we're doing this 4-hour process twice a year instead of once a year. Yeah. But as we're going through that process, I always think there's like scanning, there's uploading PDFs. And then I think about my work here at the church when I'm working with people who have a really hard time like using computers. Like I build websites. I work with, I edit videos. I do all that type of stuff. Like it's kind of hard for me. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how much harder for somebody who doesn't have access to a laptop, doesn't have access to a scanner, doesn't have really an understanding of like how to move files around a computer and how to do all that stuff. And my point is, even if the resources exist, the process of getting those resources can feel incredibly challenging.
No, it really can. And sometimes I know that they're not intentionally hard to find, but they're very hard to find.
Right.
And you bring up a good point too of, government aid.
Right.
And that's another thing we really have to be careful of. And I want other employers to hire adults with disabilities, but I really want to provide, if they need it, the education on if someone works over a certain amount of hours or makes over a certain amount, they will be looked at as capable of holding a job and lose their eligibility. So we really have to be careful and make each case individualized and see, okay, how much can this person work?
And that's true also on accommodations. Like you talk about the Sarasota, Florida coffee shop. Like I think sometimes something I hear, because obviously our oldest is autistic, and sometimes people will say, oh, well, they XYZ. And people mean well, but it's like, the experience with one autistic individual is not necessarily the experience with another autistic individual. Yeah. So like Ellie loves Disney World and people are like, oh, isn't it like overstimulating for her? And it's like, no, she's actually like sensory seeking. Like she's all gas, no brake. You know what I mean? Versus somebody who would be overwhelmed. And so creating work environments, it's not like I could create a one-size-fits-all work environment that fits all intellectually disabled or even physically disabled people. I have to kind of create this adaptability, which is,
Which I want to bring my occupational therapy side into the coffee shop as well. And we have assessments for sensory, and it will show you exactly where and with which sense they are seeking or avoiding, so that we know what they need more of to be successful or what they need less of to be successful.
Yeah.
So we want to include those types of individualized assessments and really make this a place where someone can be successful.
So the goal broadly is creating a space where people can have education on what's available to them, creating a space where people can do work that they find meaningful, and, I think just creating kind of a community-facing coffee shop. Is there anything I'm missing in kind of that summary?
Yeah, no, I think that you hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah.
But one little extra step further, I want this to be a place where employees can be successful and feel safe, right? I also want this to be a coffee shop where parents feel welcome to bring their child or their adult with a disability to have a pastry, a coffee, sit down, be engaged in the community, right? And not feel like, oh, if my child has a behavior, I'm sure you go through that.
Yeah.
Going to a restaurant, what if a noise sets Ellie off or something?
Yeah.
And she has this behavior in front of everybody and they're all looking at you, right?
Sure.
I want this to be a place where you feel unjudged completely and welcome to have those behaviors, and a staff member who is educated can try to help you. Or we're trying to have a sensory room as well that kind of doubles as a conference area space, where if somebody, either a customer or an employee, is having a sensory meltdown or anything like that, they can go to the calming room and get away from everybody else who may be in the coffee shop staring at them. So not only do we want it for the employees, but we want it for the members of the community who can feel comfortable taking their child somewhere and they're understood and they are accepted.
Yeah, that's great. So you guys have the plot of land. If I'm understanding, you need to build yet.
Yes.
So what is the timeline? Where ultimately will you guys be? All that type of stuff.
Yeah. So we just got approved with zoning and we have the engineers working on land development plans.
Okay.
So we're hoping that they will be done with those plans within the next 5 to 6 months so that we can break ground on the dirt before the land freezes over the winter.
Yeah.
And then all of the major building will be done early 2027. We're hoping to open sometime in 2027.
And you guys are in where?
We're in Laycock Township over by Intercourse, PA.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. We're actually not partnered with, but we are next to the Clinic for Special Children.
Oh, cool.
And the Community Care Center.
Neat.
So it's like we have the clinic, we have the daycare, now we have the employment option. So it's like a whole campus for adults with disabilities.
That's really, really cool. So how can people be praying for you? Is there a place they can go for like more information? What about that?
Yeah.
Stuff?
So we have a website. It's thecaringcup.com. We're currently selling our coffee, like our coffee beans or grounds, on our website, or you can reach out to me. My email and my cell phone number are on the website. You can learn a lot more about our board of directors there. We have Instagram, we have LinkedIn, and we have Facebook. So if you want to follow us there.
Are you guys, can I just ask, are you white label roasting? Or are you, where are the beans coming from?
Yeah, so actually it's a local in Intercourse, PA, ex-Amish who turned their barn into a roasting facility.
Awesome.
So it's all roasted locally, and I think it's incredible. I can't drink coffee black, but I drink this coffee black.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's called Sunrise.
Neat.
Sunrise Coffee. But yeah, so we're hoping for that. And we are going to have a fundraiser on May 16th at Faith High School.
Okay.
Over towards like nickel mines, more so that way.
All right.
In Gap. Yeah. So we're hoping to raise funds for the building then and hopefully roll out a capital campaign soon. All those fun types of things to get a building built. Yeah.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Lenea, thanks so much for making time for it. And we'll certainly keep an eye on it and probably circle back, have you back on in a year or so, see what things are.
That'd be awesome.
All right. Thanks so much, friend.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yep. All right.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Know and Follow podcast. This podcast is a production of Grace Community Church of Willow Street, located at 212 Peach Bottom Road in Willow Street, Pennsylvania. If you're looking for a place to worship, we'd love to have you join us. Our services are Saturdays at 6 p.m., Sundays at 8, 9:15, and 11 a.m. This podcast is hosted, produced, and edited by Pastor Addison Roberts, the digital pastor of Grace Community Church. You can learn more about our church at gccws.net. Our theme music is Only the Brave Run Wild by Sounds Like Sander. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.